So the Red River Rivalry is in the books, and the Oklahoma Sooners do the impossible and shock the world, beating the Texas Longhorns a year after Texas beat down the Oklahoma Sooners 49-0. But that is a stat that Oklahoma Sooner fans will hear no more. Today, we need to break down this game. We need to talk about how Brent Venables and this Oklahoma team found success. And then we need to talk about what an incredible job Brent Venables has done turning around this Oklahoma team in just a year. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hop down to the comments and let me know what you thought about this game. And while you're here, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button. We would love to have you a part of this growing community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, let's talk about the things that stood out to me. Going into this game, I told you some players that I thought you needed to be watching out for on the Oklahoma Sooners side. Defensively, my name was Gentry Williams, a guy that has flashed whenever you watch Oklahoma film, and he showed today exactly why. Offensively, I gave you two, Jaden Gibson, Nick Anderson, and Nick Anderson was the guy that got the big-time touchdown to seal it for the Oklahoma Sooners. On top of that, one of the biggest questions I personally had coming into this game is what is Oklahoma going to do to keep the Texas defense honest in terms of being able to present a rushing attack? Well, the answer was none other than Dillon Gabriel, who gashed this Texas defense and really put them in a bind all game long. Oklahoma started fast and they never looked back, and this might be the game of the year thus far. I don't have any doubt in my mind that we're going to see this game replay, but let's understand something here. Oklahoma was the better team today. They were better coached in the early portions of this game and in the latter portions of this game, and they fended off a Texas Longhorn comeback. One of the things we've known about the Texas Longhorns this year as opposed to last year, Texas this year is a second-half team. Last year, they were a first-half team. They would jump out to early leads and then really start to lose those leads as the game went on. That's not the case of the Texas Longhorns this year. So for Oklahoma to start fast, but then not only start fast, but outlast the Texas Longhorns, that was incredibly impressive, and it goes to point out what an amazing job Brent Venables has done. Offensively, Dillon Gabriel was dialed in. He had some throws that you would like to have back, but at the end of the day, he did everything he needed to do to put his team in positions to win, and that's all you can ask for. The Oklahoma wide receiver room, they found matchups that they liked, and they were able to take advantage of it, but they stayed the course. One of the things I asked in the offseason for Jeff Lebby to do during this season was find your off-speed pitch, and what I mean when I say the off-speed pitch, we know Oklahoma can score as fast as anybody in the nation. Jeff Lebby has proved that. Dillon Gabriel has proved that. What I wanted to see was them be able to extend drives, be able to test a defense, to be able to control games. And even though Oklahoma doesn't have the rushing attack they had last year, we have seen some semblance of that off-speed pitch. If Oklahoma had the rushing attack they had last year, with the offense they're fielding this year, it would be an really, really difficult unit to stop. But the conversation here, as much as we can talk about the Oklahoma offense, because this was an Oklahoma offense that took it to what I believe is one of the best defenses in the country. This was an Oklahoma offense that kept Dillon Gabriel upright against one of the best defensive lines in the country. Credit to Bill Bedenbaugh and that Oklahoma offensive line fending off that ferocious Texas defensive front. But do you want to know the real story here? It's not the Oklahoma offense. We know that Oklahoma's offense is dangerous. They're one of the best units in the nation, and that is not news to Sooner fans. The story here is the Oklahoma defense, and I'm going to give you a few drives that, to me, really tell the story. And where I want to start is on the goal line stand, where Oklahoma had one of the most impressive defensive stands I can remember Oklahoma having in years. And to me, that set the tone for the rest of this game. Oklahoma stopped that Texas rushing attack, a Texas rushing attack that was not only effective through parts of this game, but has been effective through parts of this year. And one of the interesting things is Texas was taking a card out of what Alabama used to do when Alabama would run what they called the elephant package. You go on goal line, you put your two big nasties from your defensive line right behind the quarterback, and you let them lead block for your big physical running back. Oklahoma was having none of it. They didn't stop it once. They stopped it multiple times and then got the stop to ultimately fend off Texas's drive. To me, that told the story. One of the questions we asked going into this game is just how good Oklahoma is. Now, understand, whenever I would ask this question, I was asking the question from the standpoint of, obviously, Oklahoma is one of the best teams in the country. I know people would say they haven't had a test, and even Woody Washington agreed with this. that Texas would be Oklahoma's first test. But the thing that I kept saying is that, sure, Oklahoma may not have played a bunch of ranked teams up to this point, but they're passing each test that they're given each week with flying colors. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask. This was an Oklahoma team that came in here ready to pass the ultimate test. Our biggest question for this Oklahoma defense was, how much have you improved from last year into this year? And that goal line stand, that answered a lot of questions. That not only is Oklahoma's offense for real and one of the best in the nation, this Oklahoma defense, from the secondary to the defensive front, is playing some of the best defensive football in the nation. And Danny Stutzman is on a short list of Butkus Award watchers. I'm telling you, that guy right there is making his presence felt every single week. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. If you turn on Oklahoma film, you are going to see 28 like a magnet to the ball. It is impressive to watch, and I guarantee you scouts are keying in. He is having a huge year. The Oklahoma defense in that moment showed they are one of the most improved units in the nation, and to me, that's a credit to Brent Venables and this staff. At the end of the year, if Oklahoma continues trending like they are right now, Brent Venables could win Coach of the Year from taking this Oklahoma unit from what they were last year to what they are now. It is one of the most impressive coaching jobs I can remember, and really highlights why I, along with so many others, were excited about Brent Venables, because the guy can flat out coach. And one of the reasons you knew he could, listen to the way not only his players talk about him, about how the recruits talk about him, about how recruits' family talks about him, but how other coaches talk about him. He is a well-liked, well-respected guy, and his team battles and fights hard for him. Another play that I want to draw your attention to is one that might have seemed meaningless in the moment, but to me, it stood out. And I think I want to take some time and dissect it. And that was when Ethan Downs got a critical sack on Quinn Ewers. And right as he got the sack, he flexed on Quinn Ewers and started celebrating. Now, I'm not meaning to sound like a boomer here. Y'all know me. I love celebrating as much as anybody, and I think if you do something good, you should feel good about it on a football field. But at the same time, what stood out to me was as Ethan Downs was flexing on Quinn Ewers, as Quinn Ewers was laying on the ground, it was the Oklahoma players coming up to Ethan Downs, grabbing him and dragging him back, basically telling him, hey, job's not done yet. We still have got a lot of opportunity in this game. Job is not done yet. Focus on business, stand on business. To me, that was impressive. Because you should feel good about making a big-time play in a big-time game, and that's exactly what Ethan Downs did. But for your team to have the emotional wherewithal to come to you, grab you, and say, hey, you can feel good, but stand on business. We're not done yet. That shows that Brent Venables has these guys mentally dialed in. And that's one of the things we talked about. That's one of the reasons I knew this Oklahoma team was much improved. And whenever I would say, how good is Oklahoma? My question wasn't, is Oklahoma good? My question is, where do we rank them in the top 10 teams in the nation coming into this game? Now I am fascinated to see where they end up being ranked, because this performance right here was undeniable. Absolutely undeniable. And it is wild how Brent Venables has turned this program around. Because I truly do believe they just beat one of the best teams in the nation in this Texas Longhorns team. I think they will see them again. But credit to Oklahoma. Credit to the defense, credit to the offense. And I think that there were several times in this game you saw the maturity, the development, how far they've come. And I really do think that Ethan Downs play is one that highlights it. You can feel good. You made a huge play, but for the teammates to come up to him and grab him, bring him back and say, hey, we're going to celebrate as a team, but we got a lot of game left to be played. Let's get the win, and then we're going to celebrate. That, to me, shows this is a team that is serious about the job they have in front of them. And that just shows Brent Venables has done a seriously good job. Hop down to the comments. Oklahoma absolutely pulls off one of the biggest wins of the season and the biggest win of Brent Venables' young head coaching career. A head coaching career that, if we're to judge it by this year, is going to be a ton of fun to watch. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.